He's the most famous stand-up comedian from China, and he even roasted Joe Biden at the White House.
President Joe Biden here tonight. I actually read your autobiography, and today I see you. I think the book is much better.
In this episode of China Unpacked, we're sitting down with Joe Wong to unpack the rise of stand-up comedy in China and how he faced and overcame racism as a comedian in America.
What happened was this guy was saying like on stage constantly. I feel the urge to hit him.
What's up, guys? My name is Victor and welcome to China Unpacked. And today we're going to be unpacking comedy with perhaps the most famous comedian in the whole world. And I mean it. Everybody in China knows this guy. Without further ado, let's welcome the one and only Joe Wong.
Yay! Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here, Victor.
You might be the most famous stand-up comedian in the whole world. Or have you thought about that? Just by pure number of people that recognizes you.
Possibly, because China has the largest population. Had, I mean, now it's India, but
That's your next project, right?
yes. Next goal is Hindi comedy. Yeah.
You conquered China, you conquer America, India. That's on the horizon.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I was thinking, people in China, they're not gonna know who Kevin Hart or David Chappelle is, or do they?
Yeah, most people don't know unless you're like a comedy aficionado. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really humbling thing to know for American celebrities. No matter how big you think you are, there are like billions of people in the world who has no idea who you are.
It's like no matter how good you are at something, there's always an Asian kid better than you.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, how did it all get started? Because you came to America doing stand-up no. No. So you came to America studying PhD in biochemistry.
I came here to study biochemistry, and then I got a PhD degree. Yeah, even though nobody calls me a doctor, but I'm pretty bitter about it. So that's why even to this day I refuse to call anybody or anything else doctor so and so. I just watch Phil on TV and drink pepper and listen to ache. No DR in the beginning.
I'm curious, like, at what point did you say, oh, I want to be funny now?
I didn't know stand-up comedy until like 2001 when I was working at a company and my coworkers took me to a comedy club in Houston. And I was like, oh, this was funny. I could, if it's a great show, I can be happy for a week. Just think about the jokes the guy told. But I never thought that I could do it until I moved to Boston and I saw this an ad on newspaper. It's an adult education ad. Basically, it's a stand-up comedy class. And I took the class. It was a 6-week class. But I think the most important thing I learned from that is you can actually learn how to be funny or practice on the craft. Yeah, that's probably the most important thing I learned in my life. So my first show was actually in a sports bar with sports on TV. There's a pool table in the middle. There's even a bowling lane on the other side. It's an extremely noisy bar, and they put a mic in the corner. So that's a show. And it just didn't go well. I still remember after a show, a comedian came over and said to me, hey, I think you're probably funny, but we don't understand what you're talking about.
You actually wrote a book. It's in Chinese, but it's talking about how humors can be learned.
Oh, yeah. I wrote, I think 4 books in Chinese. One of them is just basically humor techniques. There are different types of humor. I included 17 techniques, but then there are actually more if I think more about it.
You're basically teaching millions of people how to be funny, and I've seen your son. When we're doing improv together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And honestly, he's just as funny as you. Like,
that hurts my feelings, man. I'm the funny one.
You're the creator. You created him. It made him funny. Right?
But he's a funny kid. You know, sometimes he can can be funny without realizing it. I remember when he was in daycare, his daycare teacher told me, "Hey, your son was telling me jokes," and when he's doing that, he knows he's telling a joke too. I was like, "Oh wow, I don't know how she can discern that, but still, she observed that." I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." Yeah, and when he was a little kid, I remember sometimes we would go through the airport in China, because Chinese airport has a lane for older people. He would just said to me, "Hey, Daddy, that's your lane." And the other people were laughing. But he doesn't remember this anymore.
I'm curious. Does he want to go into comedy as well, or is he's just like a funny person?
Yeah, he loves improv because it's fun, and he doesn't have to prepare too much for improv. Unlike stand-up comedy, you have to write it, so forth. Yeah, that's the aspect he likes, But his main interest right now is physics. Actually, he just got into college this year.
Oh, great!
I know. When you saw him, he's still a littler, but they grow up fast. I couldn't believe he's leaving pretty soon. Actually,
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's gonna study physics.
Yeah.
And then he'll become a stand-up comedian after he gets his PhD.
I hope not. That's a lot of detour there.
I'm just curious now, if let's say like a biochemistry lab,
Yeah.
they were to hire you, can you go back and still do it?
Oh, I don't know, because like medicinal science advanced really fast, but I think the basic principles are kind of the same. I'm pretty sure I can find some kind of job in biotech company.
But then you'll be overqualified.
In terms of comedy, yes.
Not biochemistry.
They need a personality hire. We need someone who's funny.
Bridge the world between comedy and biochemistry, right?
Yeah. But the sad thing is, during Trump's first term, there were actually scientists reaching out to me. They were like, "Oh, our funding got cut by a lot. Can you maybe do a comedy show or say something through your social media to promote science?" Because a lot of people didn't quite know. Basic research is so important, but people feel it's frivolous. They're like, "Oh, why are we spending so much money on the study of fruit flies?" But what they didn't know is that the entire human genetics was kind of discovered or extrapolated from the principles we found out from fruit fly research.
Yeah, there's a lot of ignorance in terms of
exactly.
I guess that's like difference between America and China is like in China you trust the scientists. Over here you question.
You question them, exactly. There's so many conspiracy theories out there. They're so specialized nowadays. It's very hard for them to actually fight back, or they feel, "Oh, it's totally beneath me to argue with some guy who could barely spell but has very strong opinion and millions of followers online. How do you do that? It is conundrum." You heard about this idiom, and no one can win an argument against a total fool. Nobody can. If you're just totally idiot, just you can't win. Yeah, and then especially with education on the decline for decades in America, idiots usually win. That's the sad truth,
All right, so you've been in America for almost 20, 30?
Yeah, probably over 20 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was like the biggest culture shock when you first came here?
Well, there's so many. I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I came here back in the 90s. Back then, China was not as developed as now. So, most households don't even have AC or barely any refrigerators. So that was like, it feels like America's already built. All the buildings is already there, roads are already paved, and the highways already set up. That's probably the first thing I noticed. But of course now it's kind of you go to China, you have the same shock now. It's like, oh wow, the infrastructure is so much better built, you know. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how quickly these
You have reverse culture shock.
exactly
Going-
yeah. But at least when I came here, it's just like the biggest thing is still my struggle with language, you know. Yeah, in the beginning, people don't feel I know chemistry, even though I was really good at chemistry, you know. But because I learned the entire chemistry in Chinese, so I have no idea how to say it in English, or when people say it in English, I can't relate that to the stuff I learned in Chinese. You know, that was really tough.
But I read your book. You said so. This is something that's like it's totally wows me when I read it. But you said you memorize the dictionary, the Cambridge dictionary 3 times.
Oh no, 8 times.
8 times?
Yeah,
What?
you can't remember anything by only 3 times. You know, you got I think the average is 7 times. If you want to memorize a foreign word.
I'm curious. How does that even work? Like, do you just like recite the dictionary?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
from A
like-
to Z. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but the problem with that is there's so many English words in it that people no longer use. But I didn't know that. One example I always tell people is I remember a friend of mine just told me, hey, because we had a mutual friend. He was like, so and so decided not to be a friend anymore. I said, why? He said, because you used this big word. I said, oh, what was that word? It was like something like lugubrious. I learned that word, you know, I didn't know nobody used that word anymore. You know, I just assumed weirdly that every American knows all the word in the dictionary. So
That was my assumption as well. I think we came from China. We came here. It's almost like we have to like do it better than the local people here in terms of like memorizing these words.
oh yeah, yeah.
Right. So then we feel comfortable. We're like, oh, we have a good grasp
Yeah.
of the language. But then realize they're basically a lot of people here have like elementary or even middle school
Oh yeah,
level of
vocabulary.
English.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing a lot of tours these days. You're gonna have a tour coming in Malaysia
Oh yeah.
and also South Korea.
South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, and then Hong Kong, Macau. Yeah, that's the leg of the Asian tour outside of China, basically.
So what has been your favorite city that you've toured in?
Oh, there are so many. For English tour, so far Singapore was very impressive. You know, their audience is very smart. They get the joke so quick. You know, just the energy is amazing. Yeah, I did a English show there back in 2019. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully I can replicate it. Not this time. Yeah.
When you tour in China,
Yeah.
right? Are there like, because you know China is a huge country with a lot of regional differences.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it's like some parts of China just like they don't get the joke as well, whereas like other parts of China it's very much easier.
Yeah, well, I have to say it's different types of jokes. You know, like in certain parts of China where it's mostly local people, then you have to kind of just tell jokes about childhood, family, that kind of thing. But there are other cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, or even like Chongqing nowadays, Chengdu, Hangzhou, because those cities are mostly immigrants. There are foreigners, but then there are also a lot of people from other parts of China that came to bigger cities to make a living, and those crowds they love jokes about being out of place in another country or another city. You know, those jokes go really well. So there is that kind of difference there.
A common misconception about you is that at first I thought you were hosting a TV show in China and then you came here to do comedy, but you actually got your comedy started in America, and then the TV hosting it came after that, right?
Yeah, that's true. I started in Boston. Basically, that's like early 2000s. Yeah, that's why how I started comedy and where I did it. And then I got offered an opportunity to host a TV show back in 2013, and I just went back there and did this weekly show. It was I still remember back in 2018, the Colbert Show wanted to come to my show in China, and their producer wrote a letter to my producer in China. They're like, "Oh, we're number one show in America, averaging 4 to 5 million viewers per episode." And the Chinese producers are like, "Wow, this number is really low." Like our show, is sometimes like 25 million per episode, but even when the show was not doing well, it's still 7, 8 million viewers per episode. But it's just a different, a different population.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like one small village, 4 to 5 million people, right?
Exactly,
In China.
Yeah. So I did that for about 10 years. And there are actually a lot of kids like you who knew me from that show. Then they came to America. They were surprised. They were like, "Wow, Joe does stand up in English." They didn't know that.
Wow, you're on this show for 10 years in China.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then you're really the most famous stand-up comedian. Like that's
For a while.
think about how many people saw you. Like
yeah.
billions of views.
Yeah, a lot of people saw me, but I have to say that in recent years, because just there's fewer and fewer people actually watch TV. Yeah, they got their entertainment through the internet, basically from your cell phone now. So whoever does a good show online becomes more popular. Yeah, and a lot of comedians just got popular through like TikTok. Yeah, TikTok comedians, right? Just mostly audience work.
Yeah.
Crowd work. Oh my God, just it makes you want to puke. But they got really popular. It's all like, "Oh, what do you do? Are you guys dating?" It's just stuff like that. But then, it's the same thing in America. Just all these crowd work short videos got really popular. Yeah.
But do you think it kind of like gives away, like it takes away a part of being comedian?
Yeah, well, just cultures have changed. And when I started, we were really discouraged to do crowd work because it's just give people the impression that you don't have any material, you're relying on the audience to get a punchline. But now it's just more acceptable. And then sometimes the audience would just expect like interaction from the comedian. Now it's totally opposite.
Because I think it's more like improv. It's more like they're off the cuff, right?
Yeah.
They're interacting with the audience and
Yeah.
then they acknowledging you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So-
but most of them are just so basic. Just hey, where do you live, or you do work, or during the day, or are you guys a couple? You're single. It's like, oh God, it's just all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, one time, one of my friend, he's a stand-up comedian from Canada,
Oh.
and he came to LA. So he forced me to sit in the front row
Oh,
of the Laugh Factory.
okay.
And then I just remember, I was roasted the whole day. There was like a host,
Yeah.
and then he was making a lot of Asian jokes on me. A lot of times, if you're Asian, you just kind of you're like, please don't say that, because you know exactly what kind of joke
Yeah, I
they're gonna
know.
say to you.
It was just so corny, it's been done a million times. But then the audience probably most time, so more likely than not, most audience members have never heard of it, even though it's just like a joke has been done a million times. Still, they get a laugh, or they heard of it, but then because the comedians just said it, it's still good to laugh at it, I guess. So. Yeah, I understand. They're like,
So you roasted Joe Biden many years ago.
oh yeah.
He was the president at the time. He was vice president.
Exactly.
I think Obama was the president. Like,
Yeah.
how did you get that opportunity?
Oh yeah, basically the president of the Radio and TV Correspondents Association saw my set on Letterman, and she just called my number. Yeah, at the time I still put my phone number on my website. She just called me up, and that's how it happened. But that was a different time. That was the time when the president actually can take a joke. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was unprecedented. I feel like you were basically achieved the American dream. You came to America and made fun of the president.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And then I remember I kind of saw that on TV. I was just like, it kind of gave me a lot of, it inspired me a lot because, when I came to America, I'm always afraid, oh, I don't sound American.
Okay.
But you don't care. You just get on stage. You talk the way you did, and then you
Yeah.
make people laugh. And
But before that, there was actually a lot of doubt when I was trying to get on Letterman show. They're like, "Oh, can people in the Midwest understand his accent?" Oh man, there's so many hurdles to go to get over. Yeah, so that's why it took me so many years to actually got on TV. But once it happened, people just said, oh, "Okay, accent is probably not a problem."
it's part of the comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's why some people say that performance is the best propaganda for America.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's make people feel that
Anyone can do it.
yeah, anyone can come to America and make it here or something. Yeah.
And that time you're early American, right? You're early American citizen, or
Yeah, but nobody knows. They just assume this guy just came from China and did it. And even when I was on Letterman, there were complaints. They were like, "Why do you put a Chinese guy on TV? Well, why don't you give this opportunity to an American?" There are.
wow.
Yeah, most people don't know this, but once you're in that position, you just kind of realize how people actually feel about it. Yeah. Oh man, especially once I did a spot on Fox News, man, just like there's some very unfriendly comments there. Yeah. So anyway, but it is what it is, and this many years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, you need haters nowadays.
Yeah,
like on social media, you want these people to complain.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Then you made it.
Yeah.
Right? And there was one time you were pissed off if another comedian said something about made an Asian joke on stage.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Actually happened.
Yeah, actually happened. But what happened was this guy was saying like chink on stage constantly. If it's a newer comedian, sometimes it's okay. But then at that time, I got really mad. He keeps saying it. I just really wanted to. I feel the urge to hit him, But then he was still on stage. So I was like, okay, I need to come down. I came outside, and then I was like, wait a minute. Why should I let this go? Or should I always let this go? I mean, it happened to me in the past. And people either ignore it or told me to let it go. But this time I went back to the theater, but he was still on stage saying chink. That's when I just got really mad. I just yelled at him. Basically, I used the F word. But in the beginning, the audience was laughing too. They thought it was some kind of joke. It was planned or something. But it wasn't. Then everybody got quiet. The guy was like, "Oh, I'll explain." But at the time, I really felt that we're gonna get into a fight. Then I remember, I can't do this, because I'm a dad. I can't got into a physical fight. Yeah, but then later on, that guy kind of apologized. But what kind of got me even madder was that there were like 3 white comedians backstage. They all rushed to me to say, "Hey, you should know the context." I was like, what context is this okay? Is this some kind of a KKK diversity media training or something? Why was this okay? And later on, that comedian actually apologized. The guy on stage who said chink. And another white comedian apologized because she is a lesbian. She kind of understands how it felt to be singled out or what to be discriminated against publicly. And the other guys just never said anything. That's not the first time I know that if you point out racism, nobody's gonna stand with you. It's the same thing happened in Boston with some guy called me a Chinaman. everybody know I had a fight with a comedian, but nobody would take sides. There's just like, oh, you had a fight with him, and that's it. Nobody would say who's right, who's wrong. No, so that's like okay.
Yeah, because if he was saying N words or
Yeah.
other stuff, people be like, oh, this is a racist
Oh
incident.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it's a Chink or Chinaman, nobody gives a shit. That's unfortunately that's what it's like.
Yeah, but I read your book and it was very relatable to see someone else put these things in words.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Describe what's it like to be an Asian American and face racism.
Oh yeah,
in this country.
exactly.
Nobody
Writes about it in terms of like personal experiences. There are a lot of books about the railroads or the Vincent Chan incidents when there's like nationwide protest, but there are a few people actually write about it from their personal experience or their friends' personal experience. For example, I even had a Korean American guy who was saying to me, "Hey, you're very lucky. You actually grew up in China. You didn't face racism like I did in America." Blah blah. That's what I just realized. Oh, because a lot of people know about this stuff, but nobody wants to talk about it.
It's just because the way people react to Asian racism is
Totally
different.
Oh yeah,
than
yeah.
black racism towards black people. So
yeah, but then one thing I have to say about certain MAGA people is that they actually tell the truth. So like a lot of liberals, they will never tell you why you're treated that way. Until this, I think one a group of Chinese MAGA people went to a Trump rally, and why MAGA just told them to go home. And the Chinese MAGA was like, we are actually Americans, that's racism. And the white MAGA people in the rally just told them, no. Racism is what we did to blacks and Jews. Nothing to do with you guys. Well, I was like, wow, that's so honest. That's basically just saying, hey, you're not even included in our racism system. And I was like, wow, that's really fascinating. Just so straightforward to tell you.
I hear a lot of people, when you bring up Asian racism, they will say, oh, people in China, they're racist. People in Asia, they're racist towards black people. But how would you say racism is different between America and China, the racism?
I think the biggest racism is the hatred. This is not from me. Doesn't come from me because I know quite a few black people just say this, and they're like, oh, like in America, the racism, you can feel the hatred in their racism, but in China, it's more about more from ignorance. Because most Chinese people have never seen a black person in their life. That they all of a sudden they saw one. They're curious. They will ask you things that may feel offensive, but then there's no hatred in it. Yeah. So I think that's the big difference there.
Because I think one thing about Asians in America, like people just assume we're responsible for something that happens in our home country.
No, well, it happens anywhere. Yeah, exactly. There is the virus, or you. Yeah.
Do you feel reverse culture shock whenever you go back to China?
No, I remember when I went back to China, my whole family went back to China back in 2013, I mean. Some of our relatives feel that, just say to us, feels like you're aliens, because we didn't know how to use certain Chinese kitchenware. It's very modernized, and a lot of things are run electronically. We didn't know that. People just feel like, wow, you didn't even know this, because in the past, for the past 20 years, China has developed so fast. It took us a while to get used to that too. So that's one thing that's kind of a reverse culture shock for us. But another thing is, comedy-wise, it's, I mean, I have to basically rewrite jokes from scratch, because you can't directly translate jokes from English to Chinese. It just doesn't work most of the time. So that took some time, yeah.
Basically, you learn the English humor first, and then
Yeah.
you have to learn the Chinese humor.
Exactly. Yeah, people just assume, hey, you speak Chinese, it must be funny in Chinese too. And it doesn't work that way. You still have to, hone the material and stuff. Just it's just a lot of work. That's why I'm always jealous of like Russell Peters, because he does stand-up in English in North America. Then he can go to India, and a lot of Indians know English well too. So he doesn't have to switch languages.
Can you tell us what's the stand-up comedy scenes like in China?
Oh man, right now it's huge. I keep saying to people, if you're a new comic just starting out, China might be the best country for you to develop your material, because stand-up comedy it just exploded, and in a lot of places there are more shows than comedians, so you have a lot of stage time to practice, and you have if you have some certain talent, you can actually get paid doing stand-up really quickly. And some people just got famous after a year or two doing stand-up. And then they became household names. It's pretty wild. Yeah, but like in America, stand-up comedy scene has been around for like 70 years or something. So there's a lot of, the other day we counted, there must be 10,000 or even tens of thousands of professional stand-up comedians you have to compete against. So it's very hard to find stage time as a newcomer. So
If you're failing stand-up comedian in America, you should consider moving to China.
yeah.
Right? Even if you don't speak Chinese at all, you just
Oh yeah, there is a English stand-up comedy scene too. That's something like Americans don't quite know. In a lot of cities, I would say the top 10 cities in China, they all have a pretty viable English stand-up comedy scene. So, and the crowd is also very diverse. Sometimes it's a lot of Chinese. Some nights it could be, Americans, Brazilians, people from the Middle East. I did a show in Beijing where some Iranians were sitting next to Americans laughing together. I'm like, you don't see this even in the UN in America, but you see it in China.
So what city would you say have the best stand-up comedy scene in China, or is your favorite?
Oh, the city with the best. That's so hard to say, though. It depends on the style. I think in terms of just purely jokes, I would say maybe like Beijing or Hangzhou, Chengdu, they have pure jokes. But then Shanghai it attracts a lot of the talents from all over the country. And also they have online comedy shows. I wouldn't say Shanghai has the best talent from Shanghai. It's basically the talents from all over the country goes to Shanghai. That's why, stand-up wise, maybe Shanghai is the most developed right now.
Because it's very international.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They
It's
can
kind of the New York of America. All the talents are there. You think it is the best comedy town. But on the other hand, the talents came from all over. So, yeah.
Like, what's the difference in humor between Americans and Chinese? What would you say is the biggest difference?
Yeah, the biggest difference is probably what I call in Chinese called 伦理梗. Because like in China, if you just say I'm your dad, 我是你爸, that's a huge insult. If you say this on stage, you usually gets a laugh. Not in America. In America, people have no idea. I guess in China, there's this respectable elderly. If you say I'm your dad, it means I'm superior than you. In America, Yeah, I guess sometimes guys say to their girlfriend, "Who's your daddy?" or something. But that's totally different.
Yeah, it's a sexual here.
Yeah,
Over there, it's
exactly.
like dominance.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing with this podcast is really we're both bicultural people. We're both like bridging the gap between China, America, and the West.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm curious for you, like where do you see what's home to you? Like because you live in Jilin, right?
Yeah,
Jilin,
that's where I grew up. Yeah.
and then you moved to Boston, and now you live in LA. Where would you say home is to you?
Oh, okay. I think to me, home is where my people are. I guess man, that's a really tough question because my parents, my brother still lives in China, so I still go there quite often. But on the other hand, I have friends here in the U.S. So yeah, I guess I just have to say I'm bicultural. It's very hard. China is my home, but I guess my analogy would be China is like my mom. America is like my wife. I use that analogy a lot. Just I kind of love both.
Despite the conflict and the differences between the two countries, you're basically you're the bridge. You're helping people understanding each other culturally. So
I just want to say that there's so much animosity towards China in the U.S. I just want to say that the two peoples are very similar. They have very similar hopes and dreams. They all want their kids to do better than themselves. They all want to have friends and have fun. Explore good food. Travel. Just so we have way more in common than are different. That's one thing that no politician wants you to know. But that's actually the truth.
yeah, and I think nowadays the younger people they know. They through the power of social media, there's an uptick in people's interest in China. And even traveling there.
Oh yeah,
There's been a lot of like social media influencers
exactly. Yeah,
going to China. So now people are seeing what's like there, and they can formulate their own opinion now.
I mean, I've been dealing with the media in the West for a very long time. Sometimes they always, when they interview me, when the camera's off, they have to say, "Oh, I was required to talk about certain talking points whenever China is brought up." Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's why you always hear the same stuff again and again from mainstream media, but through social media, you get to see another side of China, the fun side that appeals to the young people, And do you know the MC Speed?
Oh, the streamer?
Yeah, the streamer. Yeah.
Yeah.
He got really popular from his trip to China, because everybody knows him now. Yeah, he actually just take the bullet train, try the food, go to the streets of China and see what it's really like. That's that accomplished more than any diplomacy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I remember when I was maybe like 10 years ago, like I would if I say anything even neutral about China, people just like, oh, are you a spy or are you
I know.
Are you a communist or
it's for a good reason. You can't blame them because even the textbooks are different. When they talk about South Korea and Japan, they have like very modern pictures. When they talk about China, it's pictures from the 70s and 80s in China. Everybody's riding a bicycle. That's still a lot of people's impression of China, So yeah, I mean, I totally understand. If you bring up China, if you say anything positive about the country, you're going to be attacked or at least people didn't believe you.
We came a long way,
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you, Joe Wong, for being on this podcast, and it was a great pleasure seeing your comedy for the first time a few years ago, because I think it was one of the many things that kind of led me to embrace both sides of me, the American side and the Chinese side.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I'm so happy that my comedy did this for you.
You can do English comedy, you can Chinese comedy. You just
Yeah.
do whatever you find funny, and you have your audience.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so-
thank you. Yeah.
Being bicultural, you're always trying to hide parts of you. Like if you're with Chinese people, you try to like downplay the American part, and
Yeah. Yeah.
vice versa. But I think with you, you made me realize, wow, I can just be whoever I want to be.
It was a scary process, but I'm glad that at least one of my audience is enjoying this. That one being you. I mean,
All right, thank you so much, Joe, to be on the China Unpacked podcast.
yeah.
I want
Thank
to
you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for being an inspiration to me and so many people. And I hope a lot of you watching this, you can learn a lot from this show. And maybe, if you want to learn how to be funny,
Yeah.
Joe is the guy that
Oh yeah, yeah.
you need to
I-
reach out to. Maybe
Exactly. Just reach out to me, come to my shows, or I have a book. It's in Chinese, but you can learn both Chinese and some humor techniques. Tactics. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Oh, thank
All
you
right.
again for having me,
As always,
Yeah.
this is Victor.
Joe.
All right, we'll see you on the next one.